Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're discussing 32 legal emergency management solutions and why your firm needs one. I'm your host, Lisa. I'm the head of content and creative here at Fliplet, and I'm joined by my lovely colleague, Sophie, who is our product solution manager. We welcome any questions throughout or any suggestions that you have to make to us. You can do these privately through the Zoom Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And the agenda for today. So it's all about the legal market report that we've done. I'm going to take you through an overview of that report. We'll discuss the summary and method of our research, dive into our key findings and trends, take a look at a spotlight on the key features that are being included within the solutions, and then we'll have our solution demo with Sophie. We're all very excited about this topic, so I do have a lot to say. So we're hoping that we'll finish just over 30 minutes time. Please don't worry if you do need to leave us. We will be circulating and sending around the recording afterwards. So the report, it includes what an emergency management solution is and what the common benefits and features are. We have a recommended structure for how the solution could look, how you can actually build it yourself, and also that we've taken information from 32 public apps, analysed them, and included the benefits and features from their own words. So a summary, as I mentioned, it's 32 public emergency management client solutions from the firms you can see there. There's 27 of them, and the research was conducted in March of this year. The method that we took when conducting the research was looking at public app stores, which included non-English app stores, and also looking at search engines. And as a result, we can see that the primary source is public app stores, and therefore the research is skewed towards mobile apps rather than web apps, although some solutions that we found were web only. This excludes any non-public solutions, so just something to bear in mind, and also excludes any non-app solutions, so something like a non-interactive PDF or web page. So why did we do this research? Well, we really wanted to summarize the industry data that's available, looking at the popular features, looking at the very unique capabilities that individual apps are using. And also, quite selfishly, we wanted to make sure that we could build an industry-leading emergency management solution for professional services organizations like yourselves. So as a byproduct of this, legal firms can really understand how competitors and other law firms are supporting their clients in managing emergencies, and also the problems that are being solved by creating solutions like these. So just to recap on what we're talking about here, these solutions offer systems and processes that your clients can use to prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies. The most common of these solutions that we've looked at and that are included are unannounced raids and audits, so things like dawn raids or unannounced inspections, cyber incidences such as cyber attack or data breaches, also data theft and fraud, and PR and reputation crisis. Online portals and mobile apps, these solutions have some really great benefits. Things like rapid, coordinated, and a centralized response to an unannounced inspection, everything being all in one place, everyone having one centralized place to go to is really important these days. Having a user-friendly and collaborative solution that both lawyers and clients can input into and make their own, make sure that the clients have everything they need when they need it in an emergency. You can support your clients' individual needs with local languages or local jurisdictions or emergency categories, so including more than one category of emergency within one app. And also mitigating the risk of error. There's nothing like being put in a stressful situation to make processes and procedures seem really stressful and harder to manage. And if you have everything all in one place and all very laid out, and you've also run through drills and you've tested out your processes, there's a less likelihood of error. So the key features that we've seen within the emergency management solutions that we found, and also what we recommend, include reporting an emergency. So you may have a big red button on your app to say, I've got an emergency right now. You can capture relevant details through a form and you notify everybody involved. This all happens quite automatically. Emergency checklists, so creating customized checklists to suit your individual client's needs and making sure that they value the support that you're giving them. Directory of experts, so including contact details of all the experts the clients may need if an emergency occurs. You can invite collaborators. Collaborating with your colleagues and staff and lawyers makes it really, really easy for everything to be in the app that everybody needs and everybody's aware of what they need to do. Notifications, never been more important to make sure that everybody's informed. So having push notifications, email and SMS alerts to keep people updated during an emergency. Live chat, you can have conversations in real time and share photos whilst an emergency is going on. Having support materials, guides and courses, making sure that people have the resources, the glossaries, and even quizzes to test their knowledge prior to an emergency. Mock emergencies, so running a test or a drill beforehand, also very important to have. You can do that within any app, and making sure that everybody's prepared and also comfortable with the solution. Monitoring is available for law firms to make sure that things are going well during an emergency and that they can keep in touch with clients. Also, a post-emergency survey, checking how things went, asking key stakeholders how they found things so you can optimize the process and the solution for next time. Reporting dashboards, making sure that everybody has awareness of how things were done, the timings in which they were done, and making sure that you can recap on the tasks and survey results. And also, as I mentioned earlier, having languages, different jurisdictions and other emergency categories within one app can be a very valuable asset. Some trends that we've noticed within the research are that there's an increase in clients building their own apps, such as Oracle, one of the ones that we've linked within our report. We've also seen a rise in law firms talking to us about building privately distributed emergency response apps for individual clients. So just a reminder that this research doesn't include any of the apps that might be published privately. So just to give you a quick overview of Fliplet, in case you're not aware, we're an online tool that enables you to very rapidly build web and mobile apps. We work with over 70 law firms to deliver a range of solutions, including these emergency management solutions for clients that we're talking about today. And of all of the apps included within the research, 44% of them were built by Fliplet, and that's more than any other technology provider. So why do legal firms create their apps with Fliplet? Well, we've got unique solutions, including custom features. You can build really any app that you need with anything that you need within it. Security is paramount, so all the information is encrypted, and you can control who has access to your app. So you can control who logs in and who has access to different parts, whether they have an admin access or just a user access. Customizing the content is really easy, can be done by anyone to populate the app and tailor the content and guidance for your clients. White labeling solution is also very simple to customize it to your company's brand guidelines. You can integrate with existing systems such as your database, HiQ, or SharePoint, and you have the option to produce public or private solutions. Internal emergencies can be published privately, or you can, as we've been talking about with the research, publish them publicly. Desktop and mobile devices comes with all of Fliplet's apps. You can publish across desktop, tablet, and mobile. The apps are available offline, which can be incredibly critical during a raid if you lose access to your internet or your computer. So all of that information will be uploaded once you do have access once again. The multiple use cases that you can have, you can include whatever you want within the app. You can expand it or contract it as much as you would like. And it's really easy for non-technical staff to maintain the app. So let's get on to the key findings and trends. So law firms will describe their app in many different ways. You can see there are a list of all of the names of the apps that we found. The majority were called Dawn Raid or variations thereof. And we have 18% at crisis response, 6.3% at data breach, and then a variety of others that were just single apps. But this doesn't really mean a lot to us if we want to really understand what we're looking at. So a potentially easy way to look at this is the types of emergencies that are managed by apps. So the groupings that I had mentioned earlier. So within an unannounced raid or audit, so these are things like dawn raids or unannounced inspections, you see the vast majority of those have been created of the ones that are published, nearly 60%. We're looking at cyber incidences at 15.6, PR reputation crisis of 33.1%, and then multiple emergency types, which we do believe is the fastest growing app type of emergency management at 22%. So really something to be aware of putting the access for your clients for multiple different types of emergencies, all within one app. Where the apps were published. So you can see the vast majority of the apps were published on both the Apple App Store and Google Play. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that earlier I did say that the research doesn't extend to any beyond app stores that may have been on web app as well. So there may be some apps within here that are not captured within the web app category. The one web app was only web app and not published on any app stores. And then we can also see the Apple App Store solely has 31.3%. So it's really important that all of the apps that you create are available across all devices. And as a Fliplet, with Fliplet, you can do this across all. So the languages in the apps published. So the majority of apps published are with a single language. You can see 26 were English and 1 is in German. Multiple languages in single apps. This seems to be a very increasing trend that we're seeing, is having multiple languages within a single app. That's at 15% there. And then 6% have created separate apps for each language. So they might have an English app and a French app available. So there's really an opportunity for firms to start building out apps that are in multiple languages. You can see there the languages that we've captured as being the most popular: English, French, German, Italian, and Finnish. And there are some of the apps that are available and were researched have over 15 regions and languages included. And so just also to capture what we talked about earlier with the jurisdictions in the apps published. So this is also an option you have, is to have a single language, but then you have multiple jurisdictions that are covered. There are rules and regulations across different areas within one language spoken. So it's really imperative that you have all that information within the app. And we see this as a growing trend. There it's just over 31%. So now moving on to our spotlight on features, just to remind you that all the information and images that follow have been taken from public apps, and that some of the terminology we may have used has been paraphrased or summarized. So I just wanted to remind you of the key features I spoke about earlier that we found and also recommend firms include in their emergency management solution for clients. So they're really front of mind for you when we start going through the apps that we've just taken a selection to show you. So this first one from DLA Piper, we're seeing that it has report and emergency support materials and emergency categories. CMS, again, very similar in their approach and what they've included within it. Again, I will emphasize that these are the things that we can tell from the description and from within the screenshots that they've chosen to show. I do believe that there are quite a number of other things that are included, but just perhaps not promoted on their online presence. RPC, again, looking at reporting emergency, directory of experts and support materials. And you can see that all of these apps look very, very different. Well, moving on to Gately, we start to see some more categories. So this app includes the emergency categories as well as the earlier described information included. There you can see there's a form that you fill in when you're reporting an emergency. PwC Legal. So this is the first one we've seen has included notifications in their information on their promotion within the App Store. But again, the same sort of inclusions within the information that we have. Bird and Bird starting to increase a little bit further. They have multiple languages, directory of experts, also the support materials and an emergency checklist and reporting an emergency, of course. And then Baker McKenzie, again, talking about checklists, reporting the emergency, but then also the inclusion of multiple jurisdictions and languages. And you can read and see all of these in detail within the report. So I want to just move on and tell you about BCLP. They're a client of ours and they have been for quite some time. And they created a first response app a few years ago that was part of their Dawn Raid preparation package. They had several challenges that they were wanting to address. They wanted to make all staff aware of the procedures, especially for their frontline staff, who they found were sort of the last to know about things, but they were the first to know when there was a raid about to happen. So really important to make sure that they know what they're doing there. Recalling the procedures and processes to follow. Again, we talked about stress earlier, where you get into a situation where you're not quite sure what to do. Having that very easy checklist to look at, to work through as it's going is really important. Eliminating the need for paper documentation. Nothing worse than taking out a big binder, big folder of paper when you need to find something when you're under a pressurized situation. Access to computers during a raid can sometimes be restricted, and efficient processes aren't always in place. This sort of having a digital solution can really help that. So these are the things that they wanted to address. If we take a look at the same sort of format that we were looking at earlier, we can now see more building out into the features. that BCLP have included. I will remind you, this was launched a few years ago, so hasn't had some of the newer features incorporated. We're looking forward to hopefully updating that if we can with them. But they've also got the directory of experts. They've invited that you can invite collaborators as part of being a Fliplet solution, and they have multiple languages included as well. So what have they seen as the benefits? Well, the primary benefits for the app for the clients has been that it's accessible and concise information during those stressful situations. They can easily access the tools to be fully prepared, so they can read the guides and be up to speed with what they need to do when and if a door event happens. They can have up-to-date information. It can be updated whenever new information comes to light, whenever new laws are passed. BCLP can update that information within the app and make sure that the clients have access straight away. And then secure access on mobile, tablet, and computer. Very, very important. But the key benefits of the app for BCLP have been to deliver a high-value dawn raid proposition to clients, increasing interaction between those clients and the dawn raid response team. Really, really important. Reducing the risk of out-of-date content, as I mentioned earlier, everything can be made sure that it's up to date. And also it differentiates their training offering and dawn raid support to bolster their dawn raid preparation package. So now let's head over to Sophie, who's going to take us through a demo of the solution.
Thank you, Lisa. Really great information. As you can see, there's lots of fun and cool features in the solution. We definitely won't have time to go through them all today, but very quickly, what I will be running through is showing you guys kind of the recommended structure of your client portal, what you will be seeing and kind of how that's set up for your end user. We'll go through actually creating an emergency and our template and action lists that are involved with the emergency process. And then very quickly, if we have time, I'll jump into the admin section just to show you some tools around communication. And from there, we'll quickly give you a 5-step plan on how you can set up and get started. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you and run through the demo. So we are here on our home screen of the emergency management solution. This is what your client would be seeing. This is their kind of portal. You can see here that we have our Fliplet logo. So again, very customizable and flexible to your specific brand guidelines. But this is really what your client would be seeing here. So there's two main parts of this initially here on our home screen. You can see kind of at the top here, we have our emergency call to actions, our action lists and templates, which we'll jump into in a second. But before that, you'll kind of see the second part of the app down here, which is going to be all of your preparedness material. Again, Lisa touched on some of these, but these are helpful resources, things like PDFs, sets of guidance. We have a whole Be Prepared center, so things like do's and don'ts, quizzes, checklists, decision trees, all customizable, all available for your clients to use. You don't have to use them, but they are available and set up here for you to use. Again, Lisa mentioned the expert directory, so being able to kind of guide and send your user into the correct direction to find who they need to find in the instance of an emergency. So lots of different ways for you to really prepare and guide your users before the emergency. Quickly, before we jump into kind of the bulk of the emergency features, I just wanted to mention the My Organization feature here. So this is something new in the solution that we've created. So if you are familiar with other Fliplet solutions, you'll know that sometimes the kind of uploading of users sits on the admins or you as a business. What we've created here is kind of our invite colleague tool, which allows your clients to invite their own colleagues to kind of interact and use the app. So the onus doesn't sit on kind of the admins or you as the law firm. Clients can now pop in their individual email address of their colleagues. They will receive an email allowing them to log in with those credentials and start interacting with the app. So we've kind of added that layer of interaction on the clients, allowing them to collaborate and invite users on their own. So I will now jump into the emergency part of this solution. So you'll see here, again, I'm on my home screen. I have my initial emergency button here, call to action that would prompt the user to start the emergency. You'll see I also have the option to test emergency. So this is what we would use if we wanted to run a drill, make sure our emergency procedures are working. Kind of the same flow that will happen, but no one will really be alerted in the instance of an emergency. You'll see down here you have your action lists and our templates. What these both are is a list of guidance or steps to take during an emergency. So I'll click into my templates here. You'll see we have our dawn raid template and our cyber attack. These are templates of sets of guidance, again, that you as the law firm can set for your users. So instead of having to individually go in and create separate sets of guidance for each of your clients, what you can do is set a templated dawn raid set of guidance. Cyber attack, again, we can use this if we're using different jurisdictions, different languages. We can kind of set these up. You can have as many as you want here. The user can kind of filter through and see specifically what they're using them for. But the nice thing here is we set a template, and then the client is able to take this template, use it as their own, and customize it for their business. So quickly, just to show you how that would work, I'm going to make a copy of this list for my company, Fliplet. This is going to be my dawn raid template. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And what this is doing now is making an exact copy of that set of guidance, but it's making it available to my organization only. So myself as Fliplet, all my other colleagues within my Fliplet organization can see this action list and kind of set it up for myself to prepare myself in the instance of an emergency. So that has now become an action list of mine from a template set by you as the firm. So let's go ahead and say that there's an emergency. We'll quickly run you through kind of that procedure. So I would go ahead and run this emergency knowing that I have my own dawn raid template and I can get going from there. So I'm going to go ahead and create this emergency, simply changing it from draft to emergency status and saving that list. So what this has done now is notified my own organization that there is a live emergency. It's also notified you as the law firm that there's an emergency. So everyone that's kind of collaborating on this action emergency list, if you will, has been notified, SMS, email, however you kind of want to set those up. So we now know that there's a live emergency and we kind of need to be working on that. So I'll jump into this action list. Lots of features in here. I don't have time to go through all of them, but I'll just quickly show you some of the important ones to call out. So you'll see users monitoring here, none right now, but what this would be giving your client is a list of yourself as the law firm, individuals that are kind of looking over this emergency, monitoring it, helping you interact during it. So that's definitely important. A lot of different types of communication in here. So if I come into a specific task list, or action within that task list, I can tag users, letting them know that there are things that they need to be looking at. We also have a chat functionality that's going to allow you to chat with all the users that are a part of this emergency or action list. I can change the status of it, letting other people know that I am picking this up and I'm working on it. Again, lots of different notifications going on around this. I also have the option to upload images. So if it's something like a copy of the search warrant or some specific document, I can share this within the specific task. It's going to add it to it. It's going to notify all the users, again, collaborating on this and allow us to kind of move forward with completing the steps of the emergency. So let's pretend like we have gone through and completed everything we need to do. We want to go ahead and end this emergency. So I would simply come into my emergency and click the End Emergency button. Again, lots of notifications happening in the background here, letting everyone know that the emergency has ended and we can kind of move forward with the next step of actions here. So everyone will be notified after the emergency. There'll be kind of a button that prompts them to fill out this after emergency survey, really just gathering information from the end user, how the emergency was, what can we do better. So that is an optional add-on to your specific action list once they've finished. One of the other important pieces of information after the emergency, if I go into my action lists here and come down to our archived one, you'll see here I can now click on reports. If I come into my reports here, you'll see I have an overview summary of what happened during this specific emergency. I can see lots of different kind of graphs and details really just giving me the oversight of how the emergency went, how we can improve, etc. And this can all be shared and given to anyone who's interested in seeing it, both on the client side and the admin side. So that is a very quick overview of kind of the client side of it. Before we run out of time, I just want to jump into the admin side of this. So if I reset, I'm going to log in as an admin. There's lots of different kind of capabilities for the admin within this, but the one I want to call out is kind of the communication notifying users, because I know that's an important, obviously, step during an emergency. So you'll see if I come into my communication center here as an admin, I have the option to send out kind of bulk messaging, whether that's through email, push notification, SMS, or all three of them. I also have the option to target specific users. So whether I'm targeting a specific client, a specific individual user, a specific individual type of user, I can do that all through my targeting tool here. Customize the email, send that out to everyone. So a really good way to kind of keep communication going, whether it's during an emergency, before, afterwards, etc. So again, lots of features here, which I won't run through at the minute, but you'll see that as you kind of dive in and use this template. So that is a very quick overview. Before we end, really simple and easy 5 steps for you to kind of get started with this. So the first one, if you don't already have an account, sign up at fliplet.com for a free account. Once you're signed up, you'll be in our nice studio interface here. What you will see is this plus button here. If you go ahead and click on that, you'll see our emergency management solution. Press this use app solution option, and that will become available in your account for you. From there, you can go ahead and get logged in. Very easy to copy and paste information into one of those emergency action lists. If you have a website, a PDF, an Excel file, all you need to do is kind of take that information, copy it, drop it into your action list, and from there you can kind of get started. Lastly, once you're in your template, you can go ahead and invite your colleagues through this invite button to kind of collaborate, review, and share information with them. So that is it from me. I will pass back over to you, Lisa.
Thanks very much, Sophie. So we've reached the end, but I think we do have a little bit of time for Q&A. So just to summarize what we've discussed today, the legal market report overview, we looked at the summary and method of research, the key findings and trends, the spotlight on key features, and also the solution demo. And we will circulate the link to download the market report. However, you can also scan the QR code on screen, which I'll leave here now. So Sophie, can you answer a couple of questions for us, please? Thank you so much to everybody who has written some questions for us. First one is, can the resources be customized based on the phone location settings? For example, if I'm visiting the New York office and the location, phone, floor plan, emergency contacts change because I'm based in New York.
Interesting question. It depends what we're wanting to change. If we're changing kind of the action lists available to the user, that can kind of, we can add that level of filtering in. If you're meaning the app as a whole, when the app is built, it can be published to all the different app stores. So it will be available in the UK one and the US one. Again, not 100% sure on what we would be changing for the phone settings. If we're talking about actual direct dialing, then yes, we can make sure we just have the correct country code in there. So we could probably find out a little bit more information on that question and follow up with a better answer.
Yes, let's do that. Great. Thank you very much. And also another question. So typically, how long does it take to create a white labeled solution for a law firm? So for example, those with a very busy IT team that don't have the capacity to develop, are there any alternatives?
Yeah, so the nice thing with this is it is fully set up, as you saw right before this demo. I dropped the Fliplet logo into it and there was really the information ready there to go. So again, the kind of studio interface allows you to quickly set up your colors, your logo, I would say it takes about 10 minutes to do. Setting up an action list, again, it's as simple as copying and pasting a list of existing contact into the action list. So I would say it's fairly quick and easy. Lots of resources, though, within Fliplet, within our customer success team. If you did need some help, please reach out to us and we could kind of look at helping you build this if your resources are limited.
And yeah, great, absolutely. And of course, it doesn't have to rely on an IT person to do that. It can be done by a marketing person, for example, or anybody else in the firm. I think time for just one last question to scrape in. So there was a question around creating apps separately for each client. So the question is, would a law firm make a separate app for each client and have it personalized for each client? Does that require a separate app?
So no, the nice thing about this solution is that you don't need to build a separate one for each client. As you saw, I was logged in as client Fliplet. I see my action lists, my templates for my specific organization. So what you can do is build a full list of clients out as the organizations using this solution. They will then be able to log in, invite their own colleagues. Everything kind of sits secure encryption. You can't really cross over between organizations. But the nice thing, and really the main purpose of kind of the structure of us building this, is to allow client or organizations to build one app that they can pass out to multiple clients and not need to build them individually.
Thank you very much, Sophie. And thank you to everyone who has asked questions. If we haven't managed to ask it on the webinar, we will follow up with you afterwards. Just to quickly let you know that we have another webinar next Wednesday, and this will encapsulate some of the information I've given today about emergency management solutions, but is more broad and looks at how the global 200 law firms are using apps. So if you're interested in that, we do encourage you to sign up via fliplet.com/events. We hope you've enjoyed today's webinar and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.